community empowerment group where we speak life into the community and we speak life into you. Log on to WCEG talkradio.com. Watch us live on your smart TV, on the Roku cable channel, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and now on Fanbase, Blue Sky, and Twitch. Search for WCEG and subscribe on all social media platforms. I'm your host, Dr. Cassandra Wanzo, host of Mind Matters, and we'd like for you to download our free WCEG mobile apps. Say, Alexa, play WCEG Talk Radio, and listen to WCEG on any of our 12 podcast distribution platforms. Last but not least, the topics and opinions are those of the show host and guest, and not WCEG Media Enterprise. We thank you for your continued support. Again, I'm your host. Good evening. I'm Dr. Cassandra Wanzo. I'm a psychiatrist, and I have been practicing in the Atlanta area for over 35 years. I started when I was 10. Our co-host is Miss Shavett Athouris. She has been a registered nurse for over 26 years. She has served as an RN case manager at various hospitals, clinics, and assertive community treatment teams. And she has also worked as director of nursing for well-known agencies. She's also been a professor of nursing. She is a marketing director with Surge 365 Travel Corps. She is the administrative director for a nonprofit where they help develop and mentor youth. You can visit their website at www.theosmovement.org. Welcome, Shavett.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Our topic this evening is one that many of us can relate to. Our topic is running on empty, the hidden cost of holding it all together. Again, running on empty, the hidden cost of holding it all together. You wake up tired, not the I just need more sleep tired, but something deeper, heavier, the kind of tired that no weekend seems to fix. You check your phone, messages, deadlines, responsibilities, all waiting. People depending on you. So you get up, you push through, you show up, you handle what needs to be handled. And somewhere along the way, you disappear. Tonight, we are talking about burnout, the kind that doesn't always look like breaking down, but feels like slowly shutting down. The kind that hides behind achievement, responsibility, and the pressure to keep going no matter what. Because for many people, stopping does not feel like an option. So what happens when life becomes something you survive instead of something you live? What happens when life becomes something you survive instead of something you live? It's running on empty, the hidden cost of holding it together. Tonight, we begin with the simple question: when was the last time you felt truly rested? When was the last time you felt truly rested? What is burnout? And you'll see some information on the screen that gives you, a summary of the difference between burnout and stress, because there is a difference. So, what is burnout? Burnout is a word we hear often. It's used casually, almost lightly. People say, "Oh, I'm so burned out. I just need a break." But burnout is more than being tired. It's emotional exhaustion, mental fatigue. It's a growing sense that no matter how much you give, it's never enough. Experts describe three core pieces of burnout. The first is exhaustion. The second piece is detachment. And the third piece is a reduced sense of effectiveness. I'll repeat that: exhaustion, detachment, and a reduced sense of effectiveness. And here's the difference: stress usually means too much engagement, too many demands. Burnout is the opposite. You become disengaged. Stress is too much engagement, and burnout is you become disengaged. It's what happens when you begin to pull away, when you feel numb, disconnected, like you're going through the emotions, but you're not really there. You may be functioning, showing up, meeting expectations, but inside, something is off. Let me ask you, have you ever felt present in your life, but not fully alive in it? Have you ever felt present in your life, but not fully alive in it? Burnout doesn't always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it whispers. And if we don't listen, it gets louder. So why is burnout everywhere? We live in a culture of overload. So the answer isn't always personal, it's cultural. We live in a world that rewards constant productivity. Being busy has become a badge of honor. Rest feels like something we have to earn. We are always reachable, always available. Work doesn't end, it follows us home, into our phones, into our thoughts. And then there's a comparison. Social media shows us curated lives, like you curate an exhibit in a museum, it shows a life of success, happiness, momentum. Meanwhile, many people are quietly struggling just to keep up. And then there's the invisible work: caring for others, managing emotions, holding families together, work that is rarely acknowledged but deeply exhausting. So let me ask a different question. When did rest start to feel like something we have to justify? And who benefits from us never slowing down? I've compiled some stories of people who have dealt with burnout. So burnout isn't just an idea, it is lived. And so here's some first-hand examples of different people who have experienced burnout in their life. The first is Linda. Linda says, "I'm a nurse at the local hospital, and honestly, some days I don't even recognize myself anymore. I go in, I care for patients, try to be present for my team, but at the end of the day, I'm completely drained. I feel guilty for needing a break, but sometimes it just feels impossible to keep going. I love my job, but I feel numb a lot of the time. And I don't know if anyone really notices. Okay, that was Linda. Next, we have Pam. Pam says, I'm a single parent of two, and every day feels like a marathon. I wake up before everyone else, get the kids ready, go to work, come home, cook, help with homework, and then I collapse at night. There's just no time for me. I love my kids more than anything, but sometimes I feel like I've disappeared. I know other parents probably feel the same way, but it's lonely. Does any of this hitting home? Is anyone relating to this? Then we have Bev. Bev says, I just graduated and started my first real job. And honestly, I thought I would be excited, but every day feels exhausting. I'm checking emails at midnight, worrying about performance, and feeling like I can never do enough. I tell myself, if I can just work harder, I'll catch up. But I just feel more behind and more exhausted. I keep wondering, is this how adult life is supposed to feel? Then finally, we have Donna. Donna says, I work in retail and it's physically exhausting, but the emotional toll is worse. I have to keep smiling, deal with upset customers, and push through shifts that seem endless. I go home and collapse, but I can't afford to take time off. Sometimes I feel like I'm just surviving, not living. So these are examples of different lives, different roles, but the similar feeling. I can't keep doing this, but I don't know how to stop. And that's when burnout becomes more than exhaustion. It becomes a quiet crisis. When does burnout become dangerous? Left unaddressed, burnout can deepen. It can lead to anxiety, depression, even substance use and abuse. It can affect the body, causing sleep problems, chronic fatigue, illness. But perhaps most concerning are the emotional shifts, feeling numb, irritable, disconnected from things that once mattered, or feeling trapped, like there's no way out. And yet, many people don't seek help. They tell themselves, it's just stress. I'll get through it. I don't have time to deal with this. So let's be honest. At what point do we stop calling it stress and start calling it suffering? Again, at what point do we stop calling it stress and start calling it suffering? Why we don't stop? If burnout hurts so much, why don't we stop? Because stopping isn't always simple. For many, their identity is tied to productivity. Who am I if I'm not achieving? Who am I if I'm not helping? Who am I if I'm not holding everything together? There's guilt, letting people down, falling short. There's fear, financial pressure, job security, stability. And for some, it goes even deeper. Many of us learned early in life that love is something you earn, that worth is something you prove. So slowing down just doesn't feel uncomfortable, it feels wrong. Again, many of us learned early in life that love is something you earn, that worth is something you prove. Slowing down doesn't feel uncomfortable, it feels wrong. So let me ask you, what are you afraid would happen if you stopped, even for a moment? Just think about this. And now I'm going to turn it over to our co host, Ms. Shavett, who's going to discuss some of the causes and risk factors, some practical strategies to recover, and some community and workplace solutions. Shavette?
Yes, wow, that was some great information. And I tell you, when you chose this topic, I said, wow, that sounds like me right about now. But, it can happen to many of us, and I know some of you can relate. It's
Mhm,
that ongoing stress that leaves you just zonked, just totally exhausted. And you already mentioned, emotionally exhausted, mentally
mhm,
exhausted, but also physically, because it can affect your physical health. But, it can happen even, for those of us that are just trying to handle too much, too many things in such a short time. And I know oftentimes if we have 24 hours in a day, but it
mhm,
doesn't always feel like you have that 24 hours, right? It's like it goes by so fast. You try to cram so much
mhm,
in, from work to school to parenting. Some of us are caregivers for our loved ones. Maybe that's a parent, or maybe that's someone else that you know. Any one of these individual things can cause burnout, but combined together, makes it even, worse. And all the other duties that you all may have. And after a while, you just start feeling, like you said, Doc, you feel drained, you feel overwhelmed, and sometimes you may even feel disconnected. Like you said, you're smiling on the outside, but on the inside, how are you really feeling? And you know, you may get to the point to where, we're talking about some of the common signs, how other ways that you might know. You might feel like you're dreading some of the responsibilities that you have that you used to enjoy. Think about that. You used to love something, but now it's like, oh gosh, do I have to do that? That's a clear cut sign. Also, just feeling unmotivated, or maybe I guess the term would be emotionally numb.
mhm,
You're there, but you're kind of like not there. You have so much going on. You may even be something as simple as struggling to
mhm,
focus on some of the things that you typically can focus on, and then you're making more mistakes than you usually do. That's another way and a sign that you know that you have some type of burnout going on. You may be, like she's already said, you may be feeling anxious, you may be feeling irritable or irritated, but just overwhelmed by the life, as they say, lifing, just feeling that overwhelm, the overwhelmness. But then you have those physical symptoms like the headaches. You can even have digestive issues from burnout. You may be having that tummy ache or upset stomach or something going on with your digestive systems. You can even have muscle aches, muscle pains, because your muscles are always so tense. So some of you may be wondering, wow, why is my leg, I keep having this pain here, or my arms, or what, that muscle tension can also be a common sign that you have some type of burnout going on. And then not only that, the overwhelmness, and sometimes, Dr. Wanzo, even myself, you might have unrealistic expectations. You say you want to do something, and it may be, it feel unrealistic or far-fetched, but with all of the things going on in your life at one time, it's almost like almost needing to do one thing at a time, complete that task, and then do something else instead of all of it at one time. And then some of you may feel like you don't have, the support that you need. You have insufficient support systems to help you carry the load. Or you may be like me, that person that says, okay, I feel like I got to do it all. That I got to do it all person, right? If it's going to be done, it has to be done by me. And not realizing that, if you, well, my husband tells you all the time, like trying to um defer that to someone else, delegate it to
mhm,
someone else. Can someone else help keep the kids for an hour or two while you get rest, or while you cook, or if they can cook, or kind of share and delegate some of those responsibilities that you have, because it causes us to have like a poor work life balance, so to speak, which is really not really that good of a thing to or a position for you to be in. And some of the things that you can do to kind of help with that is set boundaries.
Mhm.
Learn to say no. And I am so guilty. I am guilty. I raised my hand. Definitely prior to now, within the last, I would say 5 years or so, being able to more so say no. But I've
No
always
is a no is a complete sentence.
I know, right? I've always been that person to say, yes, I'll do it. No matter how many things I have going on,
Yeah.
I'll say yes. And I remember I have one of my mentors and good friends. Her name is Dr. Linda Avery. I remember one day she called and asked me something, and I said no. She said, good for you. That's the first time you've ever told me no. Yes. And I'm on the phone like, really? She said, you've never told me no. I'm so glad and thankful that you're telling somebody no. So that was like a wake up call for me because it stunned me. Like she was so excited. But learn to say no, which is setting those boundaries, and that'll protect your personal time that you may even have if you have any personal time. That might protect that. But then self care.
Mhm.
We've been hearing so much about self care.
Mhm.
That has to become a priority. Whether that's what makes you smile, what makes you happy. Is that getting a massage? Is that for ladies going to get your nails and your toes done?
Mhm.
Is that walking through the mall? Is that going to a forest and or a park and seeing the beautiful trees and just walking through an area to seeing nature? Is that climbing Mount Everest and feeling like you've been achieved once you got to the top? Is that having a picnic in the park? Is that just what is it that makes you happy? I know I met somebody and they said that shop therapy was theirs. Yeah, they like to shop and it takes all that away and it allows them to relax, right? So that may be yours, but you've got to figure out what is it? Is it taking a hot bath? Just closing the door, putting some music on, getting a glass of wine, sitting in the bathtub in some hot water and doing nothing. I don't know what that is for you, but you have to figure out what that is for you and do it. I would say try to incorporate that once a week or once every other week into your life and your space. Because guess what? If stress and burnout takes you out of here, it's gonna be your fault. You've got to get some of that stuff off of your plate. And I'm talking to myself as well. My husband does a good job trying to, help me get things off of my plate. But we've got to get to that point and then seek some type of support. Talk to your friends, talk to your family members, some type of support groups if you need to join a support group, or therapists. People look at therapists and counselors as you know this bad big bad wolf. No, that can be something. The one thing that really helps you through the rough times that you have with this thing called life. You know, but any way that you can relax, you know, maybe it's meditation and deep breathing. I'm giving you guys examples, so hopefully you're writing some of this down. Others of you may say, you know what, maybe journaling can help me, with this burnout. Get up, go and buy a brand new one, put the date on it, and start journaling. That might help you. But just really having some goals for yourself to get some things off of your plate and just prioritize and considering what really truly matters and letting go of things that are unnecessary. It's unnecessary pressure. And if you're like me, I went to a conference one time and the gentleman that was teaching the conference said, you know why some of you aren't getting, a lot done? You have burnout, but you have so much on your plate. But a lot of the reasons is because you wake up in the morning, you write 40 to 50 things on your list of things to do, and nothing hardly gets done. So what you have to do is do it in compartments. So each day to chop down that tree, pick no more than 3 things that you want to get done within that day. Don't overwhelm yourself because you can't do it all in a day. You don't have to be Superman or Superwoman, and all 50 things aren't going to be covered in a day. But pick 3 things that you want to get done that day and get those 3 things done. And then tomorrow, pick another 3. Then the next day, pick another 2 to 3 things. So that might help those of you that have been in situations like myself where you have so much that you have to get done. I'm looking at my board now and there's so much on my board. I wish I could turn this camera so that you could see. It's probably about 50 things on there, literally. But picking the top 2 to 3 things for that day and then doing your best to get those things completed. So those are just some examples, Dr. Wanzo, of burnout, what that looks like. And hopefully that will help you, you guys, as you're trying to figure out how to navigate this thing.
Do you have any thoughts about workplace burnout or any thoughts about the workplace at
Mhm.
all?
Yeah, lots of people have that it's workplace, social, communities, and even, families can also help prevent and reduce burnout. But some people have workplace burnout. You're working, and getting that overtime, which sometimes I've heard people say they don't see much of the extra because Uncle Sam gets it. But it's like you're working so much. You're working, 40 hours a week, 60 hours a week, 80 hours a week, which is a lot, and not really getting enough rest because our bodies really need to rest and rejuvenate. And that can definitely be a biggie when it comes to. And then some of you are dealing with such stresses in life that you try to work more in order to not really think about everything that's going on. So you try to stay busy with working more often, but that definitely is a really big one. So with the workplace, some of those solutions is, you can have flexible schedules. Some of you are able to work remotely, which is a biggie, especially after COVID. Being able to work remotely is so big.
Amen to that.
Uh-huh, exactly. Makes a big difference, right? Also, taking regular breaks at work. I know they have their set times on breaks and things like that, but being able to take those regular breaks. And my big one for me, I love to get massages, like 1 hour, 1.5. But I also love to vacation.
Yes, that's it.
That's
Yes.
a big one. And anybody
Yes.
that knows Dr. Wanzo, listen, she is my shero. I see her. She sent me her pictures in Africa with the lions and elephants all right there jumping out, not jumping out of planes, but flying in a plane. Where were you in Hawaii or something like that? I
Oh
think
yeah,
she was
with a helicopter ride over in Hawaii,
helicopter
over the
ride in Hawaii.
volcanoes. Yeah.
Listen, I love it. Absolutely love it. But my husband and I have, I think we've cruised 42 times with Carnival.
Wow.
Yes, and I love to cruise. I love to travel. You just want to leave everything home and just get away. Your body needs it, and statistically, you can do your research later. But it talks about how taking a simple vacation can help you to have less. It lowers your blood pressure. It helps with depression, and it helps with so many different things as far as your physical health is concerned. Decreases heart attacks.
Mhm.
I'm telling you, it's amazing. So take a vacation, enjoy yourself. Life is so short. So I love vacation. So if you're taking notes and getting these examples, definitely write down vacation because that's a big one. That is a really, really big one. And then, if you're in a situation where you're needing more support, you may want to seek a therapist, or we also have other health resources and counseling for those of you who may need that. Maybe you're in a state of depression, and that may be helping to cause some of the way that you're feeling or burnout, so to speak. But lots of different examples, and you can even Google it, different ways to do self-care, and you'll see lots and lots of examples, and just relate to a couple of them. And then think outside of the box. My mother always said long time ago, I'm not doing fishing. Ugh, fishing. And then one day she went fishing with us. And let me tell you, that is her first love.
Oh.
One thing that she was staying away from, she absolutely loves to fish.
Hmm.
Didn't realize that that was something that she liked to do. I never thought I would like golf. That's another great one. And if you're thinking, golf, that's not for me, I thought the same thing. So once my husband got me out there on the golf course, beautiful green, the scenery, 18 holes is about 4 to 4.5 hours where you're just riding on the golf cart, listening to a little soft music, enjoying yourself, not thinking about anything. So just try it. Golf is another one. Even if you're not actually playing golf and you're with someone else who is, you can just be a rider and just enjoy the scenery and not think about your life and everything that's going on for those 4 to 5 hours. So that's another one that you can put um on your list as well, is something that's different, but think outside of the box when you're trying to think about your self-care.
Hmm. Wow, that's amazing. That's excellent. So I hope you as the audience have been paying attention to some of these solutions and things for burnout because there is hope. You don't have to, continue living your life on a treadmill, although I mean society is often geared and people are often rewarded for that, but that's not necessary. So I don't know if do we have any questions or comments from the audience anywhere? Let's see. Audience comments. Okay. But again, thank you, Shavett, for that information. So,
Problem.
so,
Hopefully they got some good examples.
and I don't know if they've been able to see the screen, but in the screen I've put there's a little chart that shows the difference between stress and burnout. Because burnout you become disengaged, whereas in stress you're overengaged. But stress can lead to burnout, and burnout can lead to depression, anxiety, and substance abuse. So, oh, let's see. Someone said there's a comment. Let me see. Where is it? You know what the comment is?
I don't see it in the chat.
Let's see. I was
Can you see it?
looking for it. Let's see. I can't. I don't see the comment. Uh, Still looking for it.
Okay, I think it's there. Do you see it?
No, I don't. I didn't see it. So what do you see?
Okay, this says, oh gosh, okay, here it is.
Oh, okay, there it is.
Uh-huh.
I once told my pastor who was burning candles at both ends about Jesus. In the midst of healing scores of people, he found it necessary to pull himself away from the crowd to get rest. All should know when to say when. Even the Son of God knew that. In particular, I think ministers especially can be susceptible to burnout. Growing up, I witnessed my father, who was a pastor for over 50 years, and he was on 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. People would always call the house wanting this, wanting that, and he was never off. He was always on. It was, I'm sure that was something he probably experienced, but it was something that I think that we all need to learn to say no and not just be on. Sometimes I feel like I'm on 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, but I am learning to say no at this stage in my life. I am learning to say no, but it is something, I think certain professions can be more susceptible to, I think like the ministry, health, helping professions. I think we can become more susceptible to burnout.
Hmm.
So
Well, you're like me, Doc. I hardly ever hear you say no.
I'm
Hardly ever.
learning to. I'm learning too, but
It's hard, isn't it?
hard. It's very hard. Yeah, it's very hard.
Yeah, it is.
I'm
It
learning
is
too. I'm learning too.
very hard. Yeah.
So if there are no other questions or comments, I'll do my closing. So there's a kind of tiredness that sleep doesn't fix, a quiet, persistent exhaustion that follows you through your days, that makes even the smallest things feel heavy, and still you keep going. You carry what needs to be carried. You hold things together. But just because you can keep going doesn't mean you should have to. Burnout is not a failure of strength. It's often the cost of being too strong for too long, without enough support, without enough rest, without enough space to be human. Let me say that again. Burnout is not a failure of strength. It's often the cost of being strong for too long, without enough support, without enough rest, without enough space to be human. Maybe tonight isn't about changing everything. Maybe it's about noticing when you're tired, noticing what you've been carrying, noticing where you've disappeared in your own life, and asking gently, what do I need? Because you are not just what you produce, and your worth is not measured by how much you can endure. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to pause. You are allowed to come back to yourself. Let me say that again. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to pause. You are allowed to come back to yourself. This is running on empty. And if you've been running for a long time, maybe this is where you begin to slow down. Thank you for being a part of this conversation. And we look forward to talking with you and sharing information with you again. And thank our co-host Shavett and our producer
Looks
Penny.
like there's a question in the chat.
Is the stress of burnout a reason to call a mental health helpline before you go under? Yes, because as I said, burnout can lead to depression, drug abuse, any of those things. And before you reach that stage, then yes, calling the helpline is a good choice. And the number for that, the 24-hour, 7-day week is 988-988. Yeah, it's 988-988 is a number you could always call 24 hours a day.
Mhm.
Okay.
A good question.
Yes.